Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started for our May general membership meeting. So I'll call this meeting to order. First of all, your safety is top of mind. Therefore, in case of an emergency today, I just want to point out the closest exits in the room. In addition to the 2 exit doors located in the ballroom, which will lead you to the side parking lot, we have 4 doors immediately outside this room leading to the terrace on this side. Once on the terrace, you'll follow the walkway around the building back to the front parking lot. You can exit the ballroom and pre-function area and leave the way you came in through the front doors. To begin today's meeting, I'd like you to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the CAR antitrust statement. And this statement ensures that we are encouraging discussions that promote all realtors and does not restrict competition among members or potential members. We work to foster a forum for open discussion of diverse opinions without attempting in any way to discourage or sanction any business practice. The CAR antitrust statement will be acknowledged before every CAR meeting. The full copy of our antitrust statement is available at the registration desk for in-person attendees, and it was included in the handout for our Zoom attendees as well. We will move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from our March 27th, 2025 meeting, and this was included in our handouts this morning. I just want to make sure there's not any additions or corrections to those meetings, to those minutes. If you have any, you can raise your hand, or if you're on Zoom, you can click the raise your hand button. Anybody? No? All right, so they'll stand approved as distributed. Thank you. So we're extremely grateful to our sponsors for stepping up. We are so grateful for sponsors to give us programs like today. Our presenting sponsor today is Virginia Credit Union. Our supporting sponsors are Charlottesville Moving Solutions, Cornerstone Homes, and Greenwood Homes. And at this time, I'd like to invite Mark Creason of Virginia Credit Union to share a few words. Mark? Oh, I'm sorry. Angel? Awesome. Come on up here. Yeah. This is not Mark. This is Angel. So, yeah. Thanks for being here. Yeah.
Mark could not be here today. So, hi, everyone. My name is Angel Fitzgerald. I wanted to say thank you so much for having us today and the opportunity to speak. I'm proud to represent Virginia Credit Union. My colleague Katie Turner is in the back too. We're not just lenders. We're your neighbors. We live, work, and raise our families right here in Charlottesville, Albemarle area. So we understand the market and the people in it. Partnering with Virginia Credit Union means giving your clients access to a full suite of competitive loan products, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VHDA. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. We also work hand in hand with Virginia Housing and the Federal Home Loan Bank to provide valuable down payment assistance. We're also more than just mortgage loans too. We offer checking, savings, and financial tools to support your clients and you yourself in this area. Being fully invested in the success of our community is important to us. Thanks so much for having me today. I hope you enjoy your presentation, and if you need anything from us, we're just down the way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Angel. We appreciate you guys. We value the professionalism, service, and support of our affiliates, CAR and its members. We have a lot of tables around this morning too, so before you leave, please make sure to visit everybody. And there's some bottle openers too. It is Thursday, so you might want a bottle opener. So that's a joke, by the way. CAR is celebrating a tremendous 100th anniversary. To celebrate this tremendous milestone, CAR is rolling out a series of celebrations throughout the year. One fun way to participate in the celebration is to test your historical knowledge of CAR for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Simply answer the 3 trivia questions correctly and you'll be entered into our prize drawing. The May trivia game closes at midnight on Saturday, May 31st. So plenty of time to get involved in that. So on the screen are the answers to the second trivia survey we conducted. It's about our history and how we've changed. So some cool information. Um, and congratulations again to our second trivia winner, Tracy McFarland. While it's in, yeah, give a round of applause. All right, while it's important to celebrate our long-standing history, we also want to support the newly founded CAR Foundation. During each general membership meeting, we will ask you to please consider donating any amount to the CAR Foundation using the unique QR code on the screen or the link in the donate. You will be entered into a pool to win either a free realtor or affiliate local dues for 2026. The more times you donate, the more options you have, the better chances you have to win. The winner of the free membership will be drawn near the end of the year. So that's a pretty cool incentive. Also want to highlight our signature event for our 100-year anniversary celebration will be the Centennial Barbecue, which will be held on Saturday, June 7th from 3 to 6 p.m. at Penn Park. You'll enjoy fantastic networking opportunities, exciting games, bouncy house, face painting, along with barbecue and sweet treats. We will also have a special proclamation presentation with Senator Cree Deeds, Delegate Katrina Clausen, and Delegate Amy Loeffler as well. So please register by Friday, May 23rd on the CAR Education and Events calendar. Members, one guest, and kids under 13 are free. Additional guests will cost $15. And we are very grateful for helping us make this possible as well. Lastly, to reflect on CAR's past, present, and future, let's enjoy watching the third video of a series of videos sharing precious memories of our members over the years. Awesome. So fun to see everybody. Realtors know zoning controls what can and can't be done in any given locality, but those rules and interpretations are regularly changing across Central Virginia. Thrilled to have Valerie Long, partner at Williams Mullen, with us this morning to go over what is and might be changing. Valerie's presentation will be available in next week's news group issue. We will have time after Valerie's presentation to ask questions. If you're in person and have a question, you can locate the microphone closest to you, and then on Zoom, you can use the Q&A feature in your Zoom toolbar. The questions will be read aloud. Valerie, I'll welcome you up to the stage, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you everyone for having me today. I really look forward to it and appreciate in reflecting, in preparing for today. One, I knew it was your 100th anniversary, but I'd candidly forgotten. So I'm really glad that you reminded me, Josh, and I just want to take a moment to congratulate all of you for the contribution the century to the community and that you continue, and I know going forward. Part of what I was reflecting on earlier is in my world with land use and zoning, we spend so much time talking about housing, obviously. And with the civic work we do and the volunteer work I do and helping with affordable housing policy initiatives and advocacy, I was realizing over the last few days that you hear about the developers and you hear about the home builders and you hear about the nonprofit groups like HAT and PHA, and you hear about the housing activists and of course the local governments and what they all do to support affordable housing and more housing. And you don't hear enough about what the realtors do. And I really realized you guys are just quietly working behind the scenes, maybe not that quietly, but working. And I realized, well, no one's going to get into that house without the assistance of a realtor. People can't sell their house, obviously, nearly as easily without the assistance of a realtor. And I just started thinking, I want to do more to help amplify the contribution that you all are making to this community challenge, not the least of which hiring Dave Norris to run your foundation, and the years of experience that he brings to this effort really is an impressive demonstration of stepping up to help support the problem or the challenge and take us forward. So thank you. So let me get started, and I will make sure I can do this. I know a lot of you, but my practice here for a law firm called Williams Allen, and I focus almost primarily on commercial real estate development, but that also includes multifamily housing projects and larger mixed-use communities or large residential subdivisions. So my practice really is focused on more the commercial side, but I want to make sure I try to provide as much information for you all as I can. I know that most of you are probably pretty familiar with the city zoning ordinance, and I want to also acknowledge the role that you all played in your advocacy efforts to support the city's efforts in approving its zoning ordinance. I know that was one of the examples of you all not being so quiet. You were out there with advertising and advocacy and support, and that made a really big difference to provide that political support, candidly, for the city council members who were getting a lot of resistance from a lot of folks in the city. But I did want to hit just the highlights for those of you who may not be quite as familiar with the new ordinance, and I'm happy to answer more questions. The ordinance went into effect just over a year ago. Brand new ordinance, throw out the old, bring in the new. It was quite a dramatic change for the city. I literally built my career fighting for more and taller housing in the city, and hopefully now we don't have to spend as much time doing that. But generally there's, the residential districts I call R, W, B, and C, and N, and everything else, an X district. It's RX, 5 or 3, CX, NX, and DX for downtown. And in those districts, and so the prior page is a map. This is just a page of the zoning map that also shows the historic districts and the entrance corridors, which play a role in developing housing I'll get to in a moment. The basic rules on the residential zoning districts, again, I imagine most of you are generally aware, but RA, every district allows more housing in them. And in these districts, density is not unlimited. You can have more units on a parcel than you could under the old ordinance, certainly, and you can create sublots, which is a new option to help facilitate for sale units in the R districts. And then again, everything else is an X district, whether it's RX, CX, NX, or DX. And this is just a page from the zoning ordinance that summarizes the basic rules that apply in each of those districts, whether it's NX5 or NX10 or DX, which is the downtown district. And then I know you probably can't see all this, but the good news is that housing is allowed in every zoning district in the city, and that was not the case previously. It's just hard to imagine even the single-family neighborhoods, townhouses, apartments, more smaller units. It's all allowed, and hopefully that will provide many more opportunities for each of you to find homes for your clients. And they do have pretty prescriptive design regulations throughout the zoning ordinance. It's a form-based code that throws out, as I know you know, I think, throws out focus on uses, focuses much more on form and design. So if you're working with clients who are trying to create new housing, particularly in those R districts, make sure they're aware of those design regulations and can meet them. So a key element of the new ordinance in the city, again, all housing types are by right in every zoning district. but unlimited density in all of those X districts. Again, that was just such a unit you could have, how tall it could be, and you had to go beg for a special use permit if you wanted to go higher than that. Now that's gone, and you can have as much density, residential density, as you want, as developers can squeeze in. There is an affordable housing requirement, of course, if a project has more than 10 units. The limits or the levels of affordability vary in the R districts versus the X districts. And the R districts is 80% AMI for 30-year term, and in the X districts, it's a lower affordability, so 60% AMI for 99 years. Detailed form design guidelines, taller buildings permitted, can have sublots in those R districts, and no parking minimums was a big change. Somewhat at the last minute, projects don't have, in the X districts, there's no minimum parking requirement. But I also always try to caution people that yes, residential density is unlimited in those X districts, and you do a lot in the R districts, but there are still regulations that apply. Even though a project might be by right, you can still get caught up in some of the nuances, and that's what we've been dealing with a lot over the last years as clients have come to us saying, I want to do this project on this land, it's by right, so I can just go forward, right? If it's in a historic district or there's an individually protected property at issue, you still have to go through the Board of Architectural Review process. If it's along a city designated entrance corridor, you still have to go through the Entrance Corridor Review Board. Critical slope ordinance still plays in, as do the floodplain regulations. And then I mentioned the no parking minimums in X, but there are some triggers for larger projects in those X districts. You still have to have a community meeting to talk about your project, and the city can require a transportation demand management plan, as they call it, which is essentially a memo saying, even though we don't have a parking minimum for your project, we need you to demonstrate that however many parking spaces you're proposing for your project, show us that you're going to have enough based on where your property is located. Maybe if it's a student project, it's close enough to grounds that kids will be able to walk, or it's near the bus stop. But that's still, I thought was a good way to address some concerns that people had when they said, oh, no parking minimums. Yes, there's no minimums, but you still have to demonstrate that your project has enough for that particular use. And then the design parameters in the districts can be very inflexible. They're so detailed and specific. And so we were able at the last minute to get City Council to agree to have a special exception process, sort of a safety valve. If there's some regulation that you just can't get past, some of those regulations, you can go to City Council and ask for modification in the form of a special exception. But it's not an easy process. Turning to the county does not have a new zoning ordinance yet. As Neil and I work all the time, they've been talking about a new ordinance for 4 or 5 years. It's way overdue. They do have a draft that they are saying they're going to take up after the comprehensive plan is complete. So I'm going to focus on the comp plan since that's what they're zoning ordinance. They are planning a complete rewrite in the county as well. It won't be as dramatic of a change as the cities in the sense that they're not going to, I don't think they're going to throw out all the rules and start fresh, but it's going to be more like cleaning up the ordinance, getting rid of a lot of provisions that even they know are not necessary in certain requirements, certain regulations that are outdated, like their parking regulations. They're going to update those. They're planning to update critical slopes waiver process, handful of things, well, more than a handful. It's really a housekeeping, but it's the type of thing that when it does happen, it will really make a difference to everyone in terms of making it easier for more housing to come online. In the meantime, they're working on the comprehensive plan update, which they call AC 44, Albemarle County 44. And forgive me, I'm not sure how familiar all of you are with this process, so I'll hit the highlights and welcome changes. They're updating the comprehensive plan first, and then they're going to turn to the zoning ordinance. This is just a clip from the home page, on the county. If you want more information, it is chock full of information on this. If you go to like Engage Albemarle, or if you just Google AC44, this page will pop up, and it's got everything you could see in terms of all the draft chapters and everything else. As I'm sure many of you know, Albemarle County's development area is very small, 5% of the county's entire acreage. So you got to take out the pale yellow in the middle, that's the city, and the pale yellow at the bottom, that's the town of Scottsville. And so those areas in blue are the development areas. So any time the county looks at making changes in those areas, it's a really significant move because there's not much to work with. This is a draft map that they've put together, and I realize you can't see much of it, but this is an important map because this is their designation map, how they envision certain areas in the county and development areas being redeveloped. They don't necessarily match the zoning. This is what they want the zoning eventually to match, and they have sort of different colors signify different things. The pale yellow is low density residential, and the other colors are either higher density residential, mixed use, industrial, or so forth. They're not making many changes to this map, unfortunately. We are pushing hard for them to do that. The board members are pushing staff and saying, we recognize finally that our development areas are not building out at the density levels that we need much more dense areas. So staff, go figure out how we can help developers do that and help home builders do that. In my opinion, they need to increase the density limits in some of these areas, and they need to redesignate some of these parcels that are not developed yet, to redesignate them from low-density residential to higher density residential, so there'd be more lots and more houses for you all to sell and more homes for people in the development areas. They are making a few changes. This is just a sheet from the draft development areas chapter plan where they're introducing a new category to the land use map called middle density. They did this in the Crozet master plan 3 or 4 years ago, and it's intended to kind of be a middle ground. Low density residential in the pale yellow is 3 to 6 units per acre, and then the orange was always 6 to 34, and that dramatic range was sometimes created problems. So they realized maybe we need something in between. Some areas that they probably can support more density than 3 to 6, but maybe not as high as 34. So they created this new middle range of 6 to 12, which again, I think may give them some flexibility and open up opportunities to redesignate some parcels in the area that could support that middle density level. They also created, again, this is all just draft, but a new category they're calling corridor mixed use that does have a much higher density level of 1860 units. So they're envisioning that for places like Route 29 North and some of the areas where it makes a lot of sense to have taller and denser buildings along major highways. I was told you guys wanted to hear a little bit about the new software programs in the city and county, so I'm going to hit the highlights on those. And again, happy to help answer questions. We work with these programs all the time. The good news is they allow electronic submittal of applications, and then in theory, you can track them that way. Neither program works great. They both are being improved as we go, we're told, but they're challenging. Albemarle County calls theirs civic access. You have to create an account, like everything you do on the internet these days. Once you create an account, this is sort of what the home page looks like. You can log in. And I realized, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, that's a hot link. Can I pull that up? I probably can't. But sorry, I should have thought, I was thinking I was going to have my laptop. Anyway, let me go to the next one. This is why I had some screenshots too. This is an example of an application we've been working on, I think the special use permit, on Rio Road. You can go in and literally track when you submit it. Has the staff looked at it yet? Have they given comments back? Has there been a community meeting yet? When was it? When's the planning commission? And then eventually the staff is going to be linking all of the application documents to this, so that if you were interested in figuring out, oh, what's going on this parcel next door to me, you could go in and see the application materials, understand, see who the contact is, who's the developer. They haven't yet figured out how to do that immediately. They finally put those on by the time there's a community meeting. And this is an example of an application we just submitted a couple of weeks ago for rezoning. We have a community meeting actually tonight, so they did go ahead and provide access to those documents. So if you were a member of the community, wanted to learn about the project, you can literally click on those links and it pulls up all the application materials. We're hoping that the county's going to get a little better moving those along, and I had some show you that. In the city, they call it CityWorks. It's a similar process. This is just once you create an account and log in, you can search for site plans, subdivision plats, pretty much every type of application in the city. So if you wanted to know, where is my site plan application in the process, you can follow along here, or if you're interested in what's going on nearby, or what's the timing on this application that I keep hearing about, there's a way to do that. So that was what I've got. I hope that helps. Neil gave me the warning signals, so I'll pause there and answer questions. I hope that was the right level of detail. I know that so many of you are involved in particular, the city zoning ordinance, but hopefully that was helpful as an overview. And I know people want to talk about, I guess, the permitting process, so I'm happy to answer questions about that if anyone has any. Not. It is not. It is not speedy. It is not speedy in either jurisdiction, unfortunately. Certainly in the city, it's better in the sense that you've eliminated, in most cases, the special use permit and the rezoning process, which would always take about 9 to 12 months. So that's off the table, but the site plan process, in many ways, it's kind of starting from scratch again, because now that it's by right, everybody's a little anxious about it, making sure it's not going to create some problem. And again, the new ordinance has so many levels of detailed design requirements. It just takes time for everyone, both the applicants that are preparing a site plan or a subdivision plat, to make sure they've covered everything and that they can meet every single regulation. And then the staff, of course, has to review that and make sure every single thing. So it's a process. Staff's working hard to try and improve it. It's time consuming. They have been over the last year identifying elements of the ordinance, maybe unintended consequences, typos, things like that they're identifying, compiling a list, and apparently sometime, I think by the end of the year, they're going to do an ordinance amendment to fix some of those things, and then maybe some more substantive changes after that. So that's maybe something to keep an eye on that might be coming.
So if you have a question on Zoom, please raise your hand. And if you have a question in the room, please come to this microphone or turn on that microphone.
Hi, Cynthia. How does the county, I live off of Rio Road near Penn Park. How does the county justify a 329 unit high-end luxury, supposedly, apartments when it's already a very congested road with all the building?
Are you talking about the Rio Point project?
Yes. And is there any plan of any traffic lights at all?
Well, first of all, that land has been in the development area for like
I know that.
30 years.
Yeah.
They are, I believe it's funded too. There's a roundabout that's been approved and funded for the Rio John Warner Parkway intersection that will help a lot with that
So
congestion.
there's going to be a roundabout there?
I believe so, yes. And so that'll help right now the signal, creates a lot of congestion. So the roundabout is intended to keep everybody moving a little bit better. They're also working on some improvements down closer to the entrance to Belvedere, where there's some challenges with left turns out of that neighborhood as well, to try and improve the safety. And I think they're even looking at potential improvements at, is it Northfields Drive and Rio and Hillsdale, to kind of sort of sequence all of those improvements together. So
I so vividly remember when Rio Road became like a shortcut when they were doing 29, and it's become a shortcut, and
Yep.
it is a shortcut to downtown.
Yeah,
I've lived off of that road for a very long time, and the congestion has gotten terrible. I don't think a roundabout in that location is going to keep people moving forward. When 329 plus, because they may have two people in a household, are pulling out onto Rio Road to go downtown or to go
Yeah.
to 29.
well, the hope is that it's close enough that, with the trails on the parkway, that people can walk, or it'll at least provide more opportunities for housing right near where people can walk and bike downtown relatively easily on the bus line. And the hope, the idea and the justification is that the future residents of that community are people who might be living on 29 North right now. So now they'll be closer to downtown, or they might be living in an outlying community because they can't afford an apartment in Albemarle, and there'll be a place for them to live. Because a lot is, I'm sure you know, the congestion we all deal with every day is due to our housing prices and the fact that moderate income residents can't afford to live here anymore. And so they're having to commute in to work from outer
When
communities.
John Warner Parkway was done, I made my voice be known that it would be great 4-lane road that could be turned like they do in Manhattan in Central Park, and then it goes to 2-lane, and then it becomes.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine it's built. It's obsolete. The congestion on John Warner Parkway oftentimes is bumper to bumper.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I mean, it's just
would
our
have made
lives.
more sense at 4 lanes. And I mean, my recollection is it was kind of a political compromise.
It
to
was.
have it or not have it, and it was like, okay, we'll do it if it's 2 lanes, not 4. But I agree, it would make a lot of sense to have it 4 lanes. But
So
it's there
It's like all what if, we don't know. Is that what we're hearing?
in terms of widening it in the future.
Or no, just in general, the less congestion.
Well, no, I think the roundabout really will help. All of the traffic studies that have been prepared, whether by VDOT or the private developers, have demonstrated that it will make a substantial improvement and enable all of the new trips that'll be generated by the Rio Point project, that it will be able to accommodate those trips as well and improve or reduce delay, improve the traffic flow and reduce delays and queues and safety as
So
well.
there won't be any additional traffic lights?
Not that I'm aware of, but,
Okay.
that's sort of a VDOT issue. So,
Okay.
oh, great.
Sad.
Thank you. I'm told there's a Zoom question. So, and that question is, how many projects have been approved under the city in the new ordinance? Neil says it wasn't him. It wasn't his question. I'm not actually sure of the number. If there's any projects, they're small. Neil tells me there's 3. There certainly have not been any large projects brought forward. I will say there are a handful that are in the works, that are in discussion and evaluation and due diligence. We're working with a couple of them. It's challenging. So again, developers say, oh, it's by right, great. And then we're like, yes, but, and, pre-application meeting with the staff identifies a lot of problems, but there are some smaller projects that have been approved. And I know there are many that are in the works in the city. I mean, even just scrolling back to this is a search result. I searched for a development review major, and there were 3 pages of applications. Some of them were void and are duplicative, but they're out there in various states of review. So, yes.
So I have 2 questions. One, comp plan 44. I mean, that's this city is going to be so different by then.
Well, and that's the point. It's there, the county is looking to, let's try to develop a long-range planning document to make sure that we have enough land for the next 20 years for every type of use that we have: housing, industry, schools, water treatment facilities, parks, commercial retail. That's the theory, is trying to look ahead and plan for future growth.
The second one is when you look at the map, everything is jammed on 2 roads that are already so taxed that you come from the east and it takes, if you're coming from Fluvanna, it takes 45 minutes to get down Pantops.
Yep.
If you're coming from up around Forest Lakes to get into the center of the city, those roads are taxed and there's really no place to go with those roads. And I don't know what the county and the city plan on doing on any of that.
It's hard. I mean, one, I know they're, many who say it's kind of pie in the sky, and I get it, and I'm maybe one of them. The hope is that more density closer in will support transit initiatives and efforts. And again, biking and hiking, biking and walking infrastructure, improve that, make that easier. But I agree. And that's kind of the trade-off that we have of the concept of development areas. By condensing all of, the majority of our population into these 95% of our total land, you squeeze them all in one place and they're all on the same roads. And so we have very congested roads in the development areas, but you go, a mile or two outside the development areas, and you have all these rural public roads that have very, very low traffic counts. And it just seems like such a disparity there. So I get it. It's a challenge. They've got a lot of people. It's hard to figure out transportation improvements, and especially when an area is already developed. So
What about the parking in the city? I mean, I'm seeing where, they're going to improve housing and backyards in the city, and those streets are already, there's no parking now. So where are these people going to park?
yeah, well, they do, and I'm not as familiar with all of the details in the residential R, A, B, and C districts, but I know there are some requirements for parking, or at least for street parking. But again, the theory is that, hopefully if you're living in a close-in residential neighborhood, maybe you don't need cars, or maybe both residents of the house don't need a car. But also they're thinking street parking, but most, I'm guessing, you all would probably say most of your customers want off-street parking. And so there's an incentive obviously built in. Well, let's, design this new sublot with this new house, so there's room for at least a parking pad nearby, if not a garage, or parking pad on site.
Not on Shamrock, there's not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and yep, those are the challenges for sure. But it's all, part of the concept of the city's ordinance was provide opportunities, recognizing that just because a lot is zoned, say RB, and might allow 8 units total, if the lot physically if that lot isn't large enough, it won't, especially if you also are trying to squeeze in a garage or a parking pad or yards. But at least there's the opportunity there. If it is large enough, you're allowed to do that. So that's the challenge, is trying to provide opportunities for more housing was one of the fundamental tenets of the new ordinance as well. So, yes.
Yeah, I have 2 questions about the city and their new zoning ordinance. First of all, of course, there's a lawsuit against it. Do we have any idea when that's going to be resolved? It's been over a year, and he said, I need more time.
Yeah, I don't know any more than anyone else. The judge just recently, if I recall correctly, they set a date for hearings for arguments on some motions. The city's trying to have it thrown out. The plaintiffs are trying to prevent the city from having it thrown out. So they're going to have a hearing on whether it should be thrown out or not. And I don't know when the date is.
And there's no time limit? I mean, this could take 3, 5 years. I mean, there's no time constraint at all on it?
Not really, but I don't think it's going to be 3 more years. I would hope by the end of the calendar year is my best guess, but
Okay.
litigation is brutally unpredictable, long, and expensive, and unpredictable.
And then secondly, if someone were, which by the zoning law, they're allowed to do it, if they did it, could someone come by and remove it?
That's a good question. I don't know any better than anybody else. In conversations with the city planning director and others at the city, they don't know either, but the assumption is that a judge would not make someone tear down their house that was allowed under the new ordinance. Even if it gets thrown out, it would be only, it wouldn't be retroactive. It would only apply going forward.
So the city would make the decision then?
Or a judge, more likely a judge. I don't know. That's the question of the hour in terms of what happens. And as you can imagine, or alluding to, that's creating a real damper on new development in the city. People are hesitant to cost enough as it is. The last thing people want to do is get halfway through their project and be told they can't finish it for whatever reason. So,
Thank you.
sure. Is that good? Great. Oh, are you talking about the city or the county specifically? Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, that's the challenge is redevelopment there. I mean, a lot of the roads in the city can handle a lot more traffic. In some of the neighborhoods, the roads aren't as busy. And again, the thought is provide opportunities for more housing, and they'll not figure out the traffic as they go, but that, again, the density will hopefully help support a transit system that's more efficient and reliable. So people will use that instead of their personal vehicles, have more housing closer to downtown with good pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, so that for those who want to get to work that way and not have to use their car, that it's more walkable for everyone. But it is a challenge, but they can't widen the roads in existing neighborhoods really very easily. But there is capacity in the vast majority of the city streets, acknowledging that a lot of them are very congested. It's a challenge.
It's really just a. I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much, Josh. It's really just a statement. Thank you. Thank you for coming and
Sure.
fielding all these questions. As someone who shows up at local government regularly and has seen you there multiple times
Yeah.
and knows a lot of this, I recognize that this is not, you're not the county, you're not the city, you're not the person making these
Thank you.
decisions. And I want to let my fellow realtors know that you can also show up at the local county and the city and make these statements, and they will be heard by your actual elected officials, not Ms.
Yeah.
Mullen.
Thank you. You're right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, thank you. I second what MK said too. We so appreciate it. You were in a tough spot. It's like the tomatoes have to be thrown at someone. So, right. So, because the clients throw them at us and then we're like, we got to pass them along to somebody else. Right. So no, we thank you, Valerie, for being here, and great information. It's very valuable to us as we continue to figure out what's happening in our market footprint. We're fortunate also to have Alan Yost, the Greene County Economic Director, with us to share an economic update. Also, Alan's presentation will also be available in next week's news group issue. And if you have questions at the end, same thing, come up to the microphone or raise your hand on Zoom. But Alan, come on up, and we appreciate you being here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I want to second what Valerie talked about was how valuable this association is in economic development and tourism as well. But economic development, I rely on realtors every single day. There's not a day that I don't talk to a realtor, that type thing. But what I value most about CAR is your first A, your Charlottesville area. The fact that CAR recognizes that Charlottesville is just not Charlottesville and Albemarle, that Greene and the outlying counties are significant players in all of this. And so the fact that this organization recognizes the importance of the rural county and the communities, the fact that I'm here this morning, I just want to express my sincere appreciation to the organization. I've spoken multiple times to you. I'm starting to get more and more casual. I think the first time I came, I had a jacket and tie on. The next time, a tie. I think last year I just had a vest on, and now I'm just Alan. So, so I hope to have a nice informal conversation as well. But I just wanted to express my appreciation for each of you, what you do every single day, and in particular what the association does as well. So I made my slides for this year. I started doing my slides and I looked back and said, okay, how is it different than my February 2024 presentation? And I realized they were almost identical. So out of humor, this is my slide presentation from 2024. And I threw out the 2025 one that I had started for this group for this morning. So here we go. This is the update. And when things happen, you think things happen slow in the city in Albemarle? Sometimes we can get things done really fast in the rural parts of the county area, but sometimes we don't. So let me focus on residential first, just like I did last time. There are several different neighborhoods in the works right now. These were the ones I talked about a year ago. The Blue Ridge Meadows in Sandersville is a property with roughly 200 and some homes, more than that even actually, that overlaps the town in the county. That is under site plan review right now as we speak. And with that, the town component will have a much higher density, R2 with more of the townhomes and then more single units, family units in the county portion of it. And that's in process. Wood Park I brought up at that time was a very new approved. It's not even under site plan review. It's just under the developer has not moved forward aggressively with that, but it's there. The Arbors Senior Apartments, this is the big building I get phone calls every single week on. Every single, it's a, as you're coming into Albemarle, I'm going the way you would be coming from Albemarle North, most of you. It's on the left-hand side, right after the Holiday Inn. It's right there. It's a large senior apartment complex. It is probably, will probably be under certificate of occupancy, I would guess, within the next half year at max. It is inside furnishings and things of that nature are being done. It's a wonderful community. Although conversations about VDOT and those type things, this one is a concern here because of where it is right at the county line with seniors pulling out onto 50 into 29. They hope the mitigations that they have planned will take care of that. Creekside and part of Creekside now, it's called Essence, is Pretty Creek Road. Significant development in Greene is lots of rooftops are coming up and they're being sold every single weekend. It's a rapidly growing neighborhood and it's behind the sheets in that area behind the villages at Terrace Green. Four Seasons has had multiple phases added onto. They've doubled the Senior Plus community. Wonderful gated a fake gate there. It's not a gated community, but a very nice community with a wonderful community center and all of that there. They've done 2 more phases of that and have doubled the size of that in the last year and a half. It's huge, it's significantly grown. The villages at Terrace Green, you can also see is going up their rental townhomes. They're the water tower right before Sheets as you enter into Greene County on the right-hand side. And I'll talk more about the villages at Terrace Green in a second. But right now, there are roughly 50 townhomes that are high-end townhomes that you can rent. They're under construction, 140 some, but their certificate of occupancy can't be issued until more of the commercial is being done there. And I'll be covering that in a second. Businesses, some exciting things have happened. These were conversations a year ago. These are businesses that have opened up, some of them have opened up. Stonewall Harley Davidson has been a significant, it opened up, they had their ribbon cutting 3 weeks ago now. The chamber provided our nice green ribbon and scissors, and we showed up that morning for the ribbon cutting, and they had, nope, we have a chain and bolt cutters, is how we do ribbon cuttings around here. So that was kind of fun and different. It was exciting. But the Harley Davidson, if you're not aware, Harley Davidson in Orange, Stonewall Harley over in the Valley area, consolidated to Stonewall Harley in Ruckersville. And we're excited. All of their stuff says Ruckersville. It doesn't say Charlottesville area. So it's kind of a nice ad. Sunbelt Rental moved up north to us as well. Clayton Homes is trying to get their showroom center going as takes a little while for them. I had mentioned last time there's electrical vehicle commercial charging station that's been kind of put on hold and has not progressed at this point, but it is there that they purchased the property for. The 2 potential recreational facilities, one of them has been formally announced. If you haven't heard, the Charlottesville ice park that was in downtown mall. When that closed, all the equipment was given to Friends of the Charlottesville Ice Park, and they've been looking for a location. They have announced the purchase, and they've made that announcement. It's going to be right next to the Food Lion in Ruckersville. And so they have all the equipment from the old facility and that they'll be opening a full facility there, equivalent size. We'll have seating, if I remember correctly, for a couple hundred people. They have had discussions with UVA and JMU intramural hockey teams playing there. As well as other ice rink activities that will happen there. So it'll be exciting for the region to have an ice park again. Review, I believe. All the engineering work has been done with that, and so hopefully we'll see that going. The second one is, if you follow closely, you would know it, but it's not out there wide. But we're actually looking at having a branch of the Brooks YMCA in Ruckersville. And so we're trying to work on the feasibility. We've already done the programming feasibility study. There's a high demand for it. And there's a potential that it might be a regional YMCA that helps Orange and Madison as well. So in Ruckersville. So if that, we're now working on the financial component of that. Sojourners Glamping was a high-end resort that how I met Valerie. I always love sitting next to Valerie and catching up with her. And it's always nice to be on the same side with her as opposed to the opposing side sometimes. So with that, we really started working on that. That project is a high-end glamping company that proposed originally 144 yurts with everything from granite marble tops and everything, spa, everything inside of it. They are essentially, they submitted a site plan for 50 units to start off with, and they're in the process of getting that approved at this point. The Sandersville business launch, I mentioned that last time. 28 entrepreneurs went through the class. We ended up having 6 present. We had 2 businesses open, a Nurturing Hands, which is a home companion company, and a counseling company, counselor. We're actually, the 2 top awards did not follow through. So we actually have under review right now 3 other businesses that of all 3 come. We're really excited about the potential of these 3 businesses coming in Sandersville with that Blue Meadows changes in Sandersville as a whole. Real quick, the villages at Terrace Green, this has changed significantly. This was the concept plan I presented to you a year and a half ago. I will tell you that it is a unique live, work, shop community. I don't have a pointer, do I? I have a pointer. This section here, supposed to be multiple different facilities, is under contract with a national higher end grocery store. With that, there'll be a strip mall with, I think it's 9 pads within the strip mall. Within that, 5 of those 9, my understanding, are contract with national companies, whether that's fast food, other type facilities, things of that nature. So that's very exciting. The under contract, the daycare center is marked here. That is actually under contract for a regional daycare center that wants to make that their showcase daycare center. That is the corporate best daycare, which is really exciting that they're doing that in Greene. So what was visioned, a lot of employment center type advanced manufacturing, research development, things of that nature, will actually be a lot more significant retail. The upper left-hand corner, this back here is basically the only lot that's still available within the complex. So you will see significant commercial growth in this village area, retail growth here in the very near future. So this national company says they want to be open in 2.5 years. What's new? Just real quick. the innovation corridor is a big thing. The innovation corridor, if you have not heard about this yet, it will be changing to the region. It really started off as a smaller focus, just northern Albemarle County, trying to get some of the traffic coming out of Albemarle, out of Charlottesville, as opposed to everyone going in. When the county purchased Rivanna Futures around NJIC and DIA about 2.5 years ago, I guess now, UVA Research Park changed how they were operating as well. They brought in the residential component, and they also changed how they were selling property as opposed to only built to suit. That same week, by chance, Greene had changed their ordinance with or their comprehensive plan to include a new research development ordinance. So within almost a 10-day period, there's 3 announcements over that really encompass 1,500 acres in northern Albemarle County. And I called my counterpart in Albemarle at the time and said, we need to get together. We need to create a corridor that's focused and has identity. And so we've been working on this project for about 1.5 years now. It'll focus primarily on national security and biotech. The Manning Institute, huge investment of Paul Manning at UVA, will be a significant anchor of this. That'll be at more in Charlottesville, but all of this will be part of that. There's a Go Virginia regional planning grant to brand and create this whole thing. However, it's including the whole Go Virginia 9 region that goes from Nelson County all the way up to Fauquier County. So that's kind of exciting. What I will say, and it kind of happened, and I just learned more about this. I've worked with it, but not, I saw it for the first time in action on Tuesday. I would encourage your group to actually have the Central Virginia Partnership come and talk about what they're doing with workforce, talent attraction, and livability. There's some exciting things that are happening. We had state representatives coming in. They came in on Tuesday. They were talking about this. But I saw for the first time the website, and I encourage you to look it up. It's called livingcentralva.org. livingcentralva.org. It's all about talent attraction. If you want, with your perspective buyers, if you want to show why live in Charlottesville, it really is a great website to say the quality of living, but why young professionals have decided to move here. And it has some case videos and other things. And it would be a great talking point for CARD to hear in the future about what we're doing to attract talent here. But it's all about quality of life issues. So I'll wrap it up with that. The one thing that I did not put here is what's old. Don't ask me about our water. Thank you. At this point, I'll open it up to, I will say this, it has been the hardest decision this Board of Supervisors has been able to make, and I can't say more than that because I want my job tomorrow morning. Any questions? I've been given I'm past my morning, so any questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Alan. That's always great to have you. Appreciate it, and for keeping us informed on Greene. Last but not least, I'd like to welcome Zoya Claus, who's with the Charlottesville Young Professionals Network, to share about their upcoming event as well.
And I have Joseph here for professional support. Hi, and thank you, Josh. I'm Zoe Claus. I'm sure a lot of you got emails from me yesterday about this event. But do you want a fun way to support the Realtors Political Action Committee? Join the Charlottesville Young Professional Network on Tuesday, May 20th from 3 to 5 at Darden Tow Park for Waterpalooza Throwdown. Teams of 4 will battle through a series of water challenges: balloon baseball, balloon chair pop, water balloon toss, slingshot, bucket toss, to establish which team will reign supreme. Prior to the competition, we will enjoy networking, food, and beverages. You can determine your team before the event, or we can put you on a team when you get there, so that's not a huge deal. The challenges will require a variety of skills, so choose your teammates wisely and dress to get wet. If you didn't know, the Realtors Political Action Committee makes a big difference in your bottom line, and here's how. Contributing to RPAC supports efforts to alleviate awareness of issues that impact the way industry operates. RPAC supports legislators and candidates who support realtors' issues, ensuring an environment of opportunity and success for realtors for you. Register for $15 on the car education events calendar, which will be your RPAC contribution. And this is probably your only chance to get to throw a water balloon at our president. Yeah. So thank you, and we would love to see you all there.
Yeah, I was asking, we have State Farm, or State Farm was here earlier, and they said they were participating. I said, make sure that we don't look into any liability insurance, or, so we'll just, we'll ignore that. So thank you, Zoya. To conclude this morning's meeting, I'd like to welcome the following new Realtor members. If you're a new Realtor, I would love to invite you to come to the nearest microphone and just introduce yourself. Any new Realtors in the room that are with us here on the screen? No? Okay. And in addition, I'd like to welcome the following new affiliate members. We got a lot of affiliate members, which is great. Same offer applies. Any new affiliates in the room would like to introduce yourself to the group? Okay, awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think it's not on yet. Okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah, we're proud to have the affiliates that we do. And you know, always check out the website. If you're looking for someone, try to use a car affiliate. It's helpful. A lot of times they'll help you out as well. So we've added the logos of our affiliates to our member homepage on car.com with a quick link to the find an affiliate webpage as well. So if you just want to go to car.com, you can find everyone. Finally, I would like to acknowledge a member who is retiring, and we will wish her well and well wishes of rest and relaxation. That's Sue Ann Conquest. Is Sue Ann with us? No? She's retired already. So wish her well. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's a good excuse to not be here. So, all, as always, please check the car education and events calendar for upcoming education events and programs. Our next GMM will be September, where we'll do our annual Development Economics Summit. And please do come to the barbecue. Bring your realtor friends. I look forward to seeing you there. We'll have presentations from Lawrence Yoon, Senior Vice President of Research from the NAR, Danushka Nanya Kara Skillington, Assistant Vice President of Forecasting and Analysis from the National Association of Home Builders as well. And if you haven't seen both of them, they're great. In addition, we'll have an economic update for Albemarle County. So bring your tomatoes for that. Just kidding. Registration is free and is already open on the car education and events calendar. And if you've registered for the free CE class after the GMM, the class will start right at 10:45 this morning. So we'll say 10:15, 10:15. Yeah, unless you need, some email time. So 10:15. Okay, awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and thank you for coming.